The series opens with James waking up to the ringing of his phone. As he regains consciousness, he discovers he is lying next to Eileen, his friend's sister. He quickly prepares and heads downstairs to join his friends. At school, his twin sister Lydia sends him a frantic message, visibly distraught and crying, confessing that she has caused a major disaster. It is revealed that James comes from an extremely wealthy family and attends the most prestigious school in the country. While playing and joking with his friends, Lydia arrives in tears. Alarmed, James asks what happened. Lydia explains that a girl named Ruby saw her with Mr. Sutton, their philosophy teacher with whom she is in a secret relationship. Lydia fears Ruby will expose her. Flashing back 4 hours, Ruby is shown on her way to school, riding the bus. She notices a pregnant woman standing and offers her seat. We learn that Ruby is from a poor family and her sole dream is to attend Oxford University. She has worked tirelessly to earn a scholarship to this elite school, which caters exclusively to the wealthy. To avoid jeopardizing her dream, Ruby steers clear of socializing and potential trouble. Upon arriving at school, she meets her friend Lynn, who was once very rich but whose family went bankrupt. Ruby then attends philosophy class with Mr. Sutton, who asks the students about Descartes' philosophy. Lydia answers incorrectly, but Ruby provides the correct response. Lydia is deeply annoyed when Sutton praises Ruby's intelligence. After class, Ruby forgets to collect her recommendation letter from Sutton. Leaving Lynn behind, she rushes to his office and is shocked to find him kissing Lydia. In her astonishment, all the papers in her hand fall to the floor. Sutton tries to explain, but Ruby refuses to listen, leaves abruptly, and walks away. Lydia breaks down and informs her brother. James arrives at school and attends a student meeting. He is stunned to see Ruby and tells her he needs to speak with her. She is forced to leave the meeting and follow him. James offers her a large sum of money to forget what she saw in Sutton's office. Ruby rebukes him, calling him the most despicable person she has ever met, and returns the money. James stops her, saying he knows she needs it, at the very least to buy a new bag to replace her torn one. Surprised, he watches as Ruby refuses, throws the money on the ground, and walks away. She then heads to work. We discover that Ruby studies and works simultaneously to support her paralyzed father and save for a new wheelchair to replace his broken one. She is thrilled when she receives her paycheck. On her way home, she meets her sister Amber and they return together. They prepare dinner with their father and share a joyful family moment. Ruby is saddened at bedtime when she sees her father sleeping on the ground floor, unable to use his room since his wheelchair broke. She saves her earnings to complete the amount needed for a new chair. The next day, Ruby returns to school and confronts Sutton about her recommendation letter. He assures her it is written and everything in it is true. Ruby states she has no interest in his personal life, but if her secret is exposed, the letter will be worthless. She takes her papers, informs him she will seek another recommender, and decides to ask the principal himself. Despite this, she tells no one what she witnessed, not even Lynn. James unexpectedly approaches Ruby again, asking what she wants from his family and demanding she name her price. Ruby refuses more money and is shocked when James begins undressing, assuming she wants a physical relationship. She threatens to kill him if he comes near her, then leaves to attend a sports match where the principal will be present. We learn that James is the school team's captain and excels in athletics, leading his team to victory. However, his friend Alistair ruins the game by assaulting an opponent, resulting in his expulsion by the coach. Alistair stands next to Ruby and chats with her, which irritates James when he sees them together. Later, Ruby approaches the principal and requests he write her recommendation letter. He notes she has no extracurricular activities in the past 2 years. Ruby claims she is head of the events committee. The principal agrees on the condition that she organizes the welcome party for new students, a crucial event. He will write the letter if she proves herself a capable leader. Ruby is overjoyed but does not have long to celebrate. James intercepts her, mocking her poverty and asserting she can never threaten someone of his status. Ruby breaks down and remains upset on her way home. Meanwhile, James and Lydia return home and spend time with their parents. Ruby continues working to prepare the welcome party, which she successfully organizes to the point where the principal praises her, saying it is exactly what he wanted. However, before he can finish, strange music plays and strippers appear, ruining the event. It is revealed that James orchestrated the sabotage. Ruby confronts him in fury. James tells her no one will believe her now, even if she speaks about his sister. The principal summons them to his office, learns James caused the disruption, bans him from the club, and punishes Ruby by refusing to write her letter. He asks if there is tension between her and James. James fears Ruby will expose his sister, but he is surprised when she remains silent. Ruby begs the principal for another chance to organize the charity gala, promising no repeats of the incident. The principal agrees and forces James to join her team as atonement. They must collaborate to fix the damage. Both are shocked and argue in front of the principal, who dismisses them. Ruby challenges James, declaring she will organize the gala and he cannot stop her from attending her dream university. James accepts the challenge, vowing to prevent her. A flashback shows young James playing chess with his father, Mortimer. His father lets him think he is losing, then allows him to win, teaching him that the strong dictate outcomes. James snatches the last candy and eats it. They laugh and play together. Back in the present, James grows up following his father's every lesson. Ruby meets with her team to plan the charity gala and is relieved James is absent, telling them the farther he stays, the better. James trains with his team but is shocked when the coach expels him for the rest of the year. He reminds the coach that his father funds the school, but the coach reveals the decision came directly from Mortimer. James collapses in devastation. Lydia tries to calm him and urges him to speak with their father. James vows to return to the club, make Ruby regret entering the school, and ensure she hates the day she arrived. Lydia pleads with him to leave Ruby alone as she kept the secret, but James refuses to let Ruby win. He attends the meeting, overhauls Ruby's gala idea, and proposes a Victorian theme. The team loves it, and Ruby is forced to agree due to majority vote. Ruby worries about photographing the poster, which requires someone in a Victorian dress. Lynn suggests asking James, as his family owns one of England's oldest fashion brands. Ruby reluctantly contacts him for help lending outfits from his father's collection. James refuses, sarcastically calling her a brilliant leader who will figure it out, and leaves. Defeated, Ruby gets an idea and asks her sister Amber, who understands fashion, to sew the dress. Amber initially refuses but eventually agrees. The next day, James races his father and lets him win, pleasing Mortimer. James begs to return to the team, but Mortimer says they are busy preparing for a new investor and worries about James's sports involvement. He denies the request despite James's pleas, leaving him heartbroken and powerless. Ruby and Amber create the dress in record time. Ruby is thrilled and asks Amber to iron it, as she is exhausted from long work hours. Meanwhile, James presents the new collection at the company meeting. Lydia sits there, saddened, repeating his words. She wrote the speech. We learn the collection is Lydia's design. She loves fashion and is talented, but her father exploits her to groom James as successor, despite his disinterest. After the meeting, James sees photos Ruby posted in the group chat of the finished dress and is impressed she succeeded. Determined to upset her, he tampers with the sewing machine used for the dress. Due to his message, Ruby forgets the dress under the iron and it burns. She shows the ruined dress to Amber in tears, but Amber lightens the mood and they laugh, though Ruby remains sad and unsure what to do. The next day at school, the new Oxford mentor, Pippa, arrives to prepare them for university. She questions whether their actions are rational. This sparks an argument between James and Ruby. He mocks her poverty, saying no one cares without money. Ruby retorts that he has known nothing but money since birth, viewing everything else as unimportant. She asks if he wants to live fixated on wealth, never earning anything through his own effort. His family name, inheritance, and cruel pranks all prove he is empty inside, and only gold diggers will care for him. Shocked, James cannot respond and walks away. Ruby feels guilty for hurting him. After school, Lydia meets Sutton, who tells her they must end their relationship. Shocked, she tries to convince him they can be together after graduation, but Sutton knows her family will never approve. He does not want her to lose the company. She is talented and developed the new collection. He assures her their father, a shrewd businessman, will not sacrifice her gift. Lydia is heartbroken and leaves. At home, Ruby searches for a dress solution and feels bad for James but cannot apologize. Her father encourages her. The next day, she meets James at school. James is affected and begins falling for her. He thinks of her constantly, returns home, and draws her portrait. His father interrupts, asking him to prepare for an outing. Lydia wants to join, but Mortimer refuses. James is pleased, thinking his father wants a bond, but Mortimer is using him to court Eileen, daughter of a wealthy businessman planning to invest in their company. Mortimer schemes for James to marry Eileen. James thinks of Ruby and decides to help her. He messages her to prepare for a trip to London to photograph dresses. Ruby is stunned to see the driver at her door. She packs, searching for clothes. Downstairs, her mother speaks with James's driver, who reassures her about return times. Ruby thanks him for the ride. He clarifies they are only photographing dresses. She jokingly asks if they make the British King's suits. He teases that it's true and she might meet him, telling her to bow respectfully. Ruby laughs when she realizes the joke. She asks about rumors like him eating caviar for breakfast and bathing in champagne. He says they are false. He dislikes caviar and notes there are no rumors about her. Ruby explains she means she is invisible. James asks her to share something no one knows. Ruby reveals no one in her family attended university. She was incredulous when she won the scholarship and entered the school. Her dream instantly became Oxford. James is delighted by her enthusiasm. Ruby spots his sketchbook and is amazed at his drawing talent. They arrive at the company. Ruby is awestruck by the dresses. James invites her to try on one she likes, on the condition he wears a suit too. He is mesmerized when she models the dress. They take photos together. Ruby is overjoyed seeing herself in the mirror. James approaches her just as his family arrives. Ruby greets his father and introduces herself, but Mortimer treats her poorly, belittling her and saying the dress suits only royalty. He scolds James in front of her for being late to the meeting. Ruby feels humiliated, especially since James remains silent and does not defend her. She changes, leaves, refuses the driver's car, insists on taking the train, and returns home. She locks herself in her room all day. The next day, her family tries to learn what happened, but Ruby refuses to speak. At school, she is horrified to see photos of her and James posted everywhere. All students stare at her. She had worked to remain unnoticed, but now everyone sees her. She confronts James, yelling that he posted the photos. He says she looks stunning in them. She explains she avoids attention, but he has made her visible to all. James is saddened when Ruby says everything between them must return to how it was. She enters the bathroom in tears. Lynn tries to comfort her, but Ruby embarrasses her, saying she would not know her if she were still rich. Ruby attends class. Pippa asks her to speak about why she wants Oxford. Ruby stands but recalls James, loses her train of thought, and flees. At home, she finds her father alone, crying. He dropped dinner and could not pick it up. He was baking a cake for his wedding anniversary. Ruby helps, hugs him, and cries. James visits, defends himself, explaining the incident was due to his father. He was embarrassed, so he posted the photo because he sees her as exceptional and wants everyone to know her. Touched, Ruby hears he does not want things to revert. He invites her to his friend's party. She refuses, saying she does not fit his world, but is secretly happy, especially when James gifts her the dress she tried on and asks her to wear it to the party. James meets his father, who demands he stay away from Ruby. She is not their level. Girls like her cannot adapt. They spend their lives chasing status. James asks how he achieved his level. It is revealed Mortimer was not born rich, he married into wealth. Mortimer angrily reminds him of his hard work to stabilize the company and says Ruby cannot solve or face problems. At school, Lynn overhears girls mocking Ruby and defends her, saying anyone can lose money anytime. Ruby enters the lab, apologizes to Lynn, who forgives her instantly. Surprised to learn James invited her to the party, Lynn encourages her to go. Ruby attends. James is thrilled to see her. Lydia spots her too, drunk and furious that James invited her. She threatens Ruby to destroy her if she breaks his heart. After leaving Ruby, Lydia sees James. He is happy she decides to forget the past. They all dance and have fun. Eileen grows jealous seeing them, spills juice on Ruby, and is more upset when James takes Ruby and leaves. James's friend jokes with Ruby and throws her into the pool. James panics seeing her drown, jumps in, pulls her out. Everyone is alarmed seeing her terrified and collapsing. James calms her, takes her to his car. Ruby recounts her childhood trauma, nearly drowning at sea. Her father saved her but was hit by a sudden boat, paralyzing him. She cries, blaming herself. James hugs and comforts her until she falls asleep in his arms. Ruby wakes, leans to kiss James, but suddenly friends film and mock them. She awakens from a nightmare, distressed. She messages James thanking him for his help. He thinks of her and his feelings, smiles at her message. They chat en route to school. She finds him waiting. They enter together, all eyes on them. Ruby is embarrassed, but James reassures her to mimic him. He sees her team training and notices his sadness. Lydia messages Eileen asking if James is truly with Ruby. Mortimer arrives, asks Lydia to breakfast, praises her intelligence publicly, and urges focus on him. At school, Lydia reassures James everything is under control. She warns their father, acts decisively if he learns anything. James reminds her Ruby is not a teacher like Sutton. He helps Ruby with gala preparations and learns her birthday coincides with the event. He promises to attend on time and be the first to dance with her. Ruby discovers a team member bought live birds without slaughtering them. Leaving many cages, she instructs moving them to airy spaces. Lydia sees Sutton talking to Pippa, grows jealous, asks if he was involved with her and if it was easy. Sutton reminds her it was their plan. James then spoke with his manager and walked away. Mortimer then commented that James must have spoken with Lydia, who had made all the plans for him, and that James had worked hard, but he was starting to forget everything because of one girl. Mortimer concluded by stating they had a press conference the next day. James countered, saying that the Met Gala event was tomorrow, and his presence there was crucial. Mortimer insisted that the press conference was more important than the Met Gala event, and James needed to choose his family over that girl. Hearing this, James became upset. On the other side, everyone at Ruby's house was celebrating her birthday. Everyone gave Ruby a gift. Amidst this, James gave Ruby a before bag and a sketch he had drawn of her, which made Ruby very happy. Later, Ruby met a visibly upset James while they were preparing for the Met Gala event at school. Ruby told him that both the bag and the sketch were beautiful. James was sad and explained that he was going to the press conference for their Young Before brand that night and could not attend the Met Gala event. He confessed that he did not want any of this, nor did he want to go to Oxford, but he was forced to do so because of his father. He felt that despite having everything, he had no chance to make his own life decisions. Ruby told him he should do whatever brought him happiness in life and that they should ignore the things around them and listen to their hearts. A while later, Ruby met with Lee and told him that James had helped them a lot and had genuinely changed. She requested that if their party was a success, Lee should allow James to play lacrosse again. Lee agreed. That evening, James helped Ruby with all the party preparations and then he left. He was on his way to the conference with Lydia, who had memorized every part of James's speech. James told Lydia that he could not do anything without her, but then he started missing Ruby. He looked at Lydia and realized all his sister's hard work was going to waste. He said that their father thought he was controlling them like a game of chess, but tonight, they should defeat him and take control of their lives. With that, they both told Percy to turn the car away from the press conference. Meanwhile, Ruby met her family, looking beautiful and dressed up. She and Lynn were overseeing everything at the Met Gala event and everything was running perfectly. James arrived at the party and saw Ruby. Both were extremely happy to see each other. At the press conference venue, Lydia met Mortimer in James' place and said James wouldn't be attending and she would stand in for him. Back at the party, James and Ruby were dancing when the lights went out. They came down from the main area and turned the switch on in the electricity box. When the lights came back on, they found themselves alone. Ruby told James that she had spoken to Lee and secured his permission to play lacrosse again. James was delighted. They were alone and felt a strong wave of affection. Unable to control themselves, they forgot everything else and shared their first wild kiss. At that moment, Mortimer walked in, shocking both of them. Mortimer told Ruby there was a problem upstairs and she needed to go. Ruby left immediately. Mortimer had brought Lydia with him and she was clearly distraught. Mortimer had prevented Lydia from attending the conference as well. Sutton sees distraught Lydia. Later, Mortimer and James came outside and took Lydia with them. Upstairs, Ruby realized everything was fine. Lee approached Ruby and told her that she had done everything perfectly, and that the letter was a duplicate recommendation letter. He revealed that he had sent the original to Oxford. Ruby and Lynn were overjoyed and celebrated with their team. While celebrating outside, Ruby saw Sutton. She approached him and said, "Sir, I received this recommendation letter because of you. You are my role model and I learned everything from you. You also went to a great college and then Oxford on a scholarship. You are truly great and brave." Sutton appreciated Ruby's words and Ruby left. Mortimer told James and Lydia, "I have waited for this for 10 years and you two have ruined it. Lydia, you are unworthy. Everything you touch turns to dust. You have no discipline." Lydia shot back that without her, the entire project wouldn't exist. Mortimer retorted that the project wouldn't be affected whether she was there or not. He then turned to James. "James, you run around like a playboy. You care nothing for our work. Are you doing this for that cheap girl?" James erupted in anger and stormed out. Mortimer shouted after him, "That girl is poor. If you stay with her, you'll end up pushing her father around in a wheelchair." James was furious and asked if Mortimer was spying on Ruby. Mortimer confirmed it and claimed she was only after money. James retorted, "You can't say anything about that girl." At that moment, Mortimer slapped James. Percy was enraged and rushed toward Mortimer, appearing almost like a protective father to James. Mortimer regained control and said, "James, I found out everything about Ruby. Only her mother is earning money at their house, and Ruby wants to go to Oxford. If you meet her or continue your relationship with her, I will snatch away her Oxford dream and bring her family onto the street to beg." He then walked inside. The next day, James and Lydia arrived at school. James met his friend. Lydia was also upset. Sutton approached her and said, "I have thought everything through about us. I want to run away with you now. I love you so much and I don't care about anything else." Lydia was thrilled and kissed. Ruby saw James walking towards her and was happy, but James ignored her and walked past. Everyone looked at Ruby and started laughing, which hurt her deeply. She confronted James directly and asked what was wrong and if his father was upset. James said, "No, you don't know anything about me. I can never be with a girl like you." James, holding back tears, put on his helmet and drove away. Ruby was heartbroken. She went home and her parents found the money she had saved to buy a lift for her father. Her father asked, "Ruby, why are you doing this? You work so hard at school and then you earn money by working overtime. This is not your responsibility." Ruby insisted, "This is my responsibility because my condition is what caused your accident." She went to her room, deeply upset. That night, James came home drunk after partying. Cordelia helped him to bed. As he was falling asleep, James asked, "Were you thinking of giving all this up?" Cordelia replied, "I wasn't always here. I too fell in love when I was young and I was happy. But then I wanted power and I changed my path. You never achieve true power through love." James asked, "What about the pain of that love?" Cordelia replied that the pain didn't matter and she left. Ruby was troubled, unable to understand why James was acting this way. She returned his bag and sent him a message. "Fuck you, James." Lydia saw this and James said they should focus on their studies, especially him, because his boyfriend wasn't a professor. Lydia replied, "James, you never asked me about Sutton. We met as strangers and Graham didn't know I was rich and we fell in love right there." After that, Sutton came to school as a professor and we've been together ever since. He's a wonderful person. I know our father will never accept him, but I never cared about that. James commented that she did the right thing by not suppressing her feelings. Lydia hugged James and said, "You should do the same." The next day, James and Lydia arrived at school. James saw Ruby, who was very angry. Despite her anger, she missed James in everything she did. James was preparing for young Dalford, and he missed Ruby a lot too. Ruby then met S. S told her, "Ruby, I thought about what you said. We never talked about the accident, and it wasn't your fault. This was my destiny, and I'm alive and happy only because of you." Ruby was happy to hear this, and S was happy too. Ruby then learned that she had been selected for Oxford and had been called for college interviews. Ruby and her whole family were thrilled. Ruby and Amber started packing. James was also preparing for his Oxford interview. Cordelia insisted, "You must get admission into the top college at Oxford, no matter what." James asked, "What if I don't want to study at Oxford? What if I don't want to join your company?" Cordelia said, "You have a chance to go to the best college in the world and manage the biggest company. You shouldn't miss this opportunity." James replied, "These things don't make me happy. I'm still searching for happiness." Cordelia said, "James, I don't want you to regret your mistakes when you are old." James responded, "You, my father, and everyone else went to Oxford. That's why you all want me to go to Oxford. I won't listen to everything you say." Cordelia was upset and left. On the other side, Lydia found out she was pregnant and was terrified. The next day, Lydia and James left home with Percy to go to Oxford. Cordelia saw them off with Percy. Ruby had already arrived at Oxford and had been allotted a room. The room directly across from hers was allotted to James. They saw each other and were stunned. Ruby quickly went into her room. The next day, Ruby and Lynn went to see the Oxford College. They met a boy named Jed, who was going to show them around and prepare them for the interview. They went inside, where James and Lydia were also present. Jed explained the interview process and everyone sat in the waiting room. James arrived, and as Ruby was about to leave for her interview, James grabbed her hand and said, "Good luck." Ruby went in for her interview and met teachers. She was asked about the English monarchy and confidently shared her opinions. Meanwhile, James also had his interview, but his admission was already fixed due to his father's influence. Lynn and Ruby were happy that their interviews went well. That night, Jed took them to a party where James was also present. He watched Ruby. James noticed that the girls were getting very friendly with Jed, and James didn't like it at all. Meanwhile, a man named Cyril was flirting with Lydia, and she walked away. Ruby noticed that James wasn't even looking at her, so she got angry and left the club. Outside, she found Lydia throwing up. Ruby helped her, and Lydia confessed she was pregnant. Ruby was happy and said, "You can still study even while becoming a mother. Many girls do that. You are brave, and you will definitely manage it." Lydia said, "You are a very kind person. That's why my brother, James, can't forget you. He's very sad." Ruby said that James had left her. Lydia replied, "Sometimes the greatest proof of your love is letting them go." Ruby walked back inside and saw the pain behind James's happy facade. She couldn't sleep that night. The next day, Lydia was talking to Cyril. She saw a little girl with her mother, and in that moment, Lydia decided she would become a mother. James went inside and saw Ruby. He was about to talk to her, but Jed came and sat down. James sat elsewhere. Jed began asking all the students about their interviews, and he answered everyone's questions. James noticed Jed kept looking at Ruby. James then started asking Jed about his percentages. Ruby exploded in anger and said, "James, you never even wanted to study at Oxford. You're turning into your father. You want to control everyone, but you can't do anything for yourself." Ruby realized she had humiliated James again in front of everyone. She ran toward her room, but James stopped her from behind. He said, "Ruby, you were right. I haven't been able to do anything for myself, and I hid my feelings for you." Ruby demanded, "Tell me the truth. First, you ignore me, and now you are putting all the blame on me." James pleaded, "Forgive me." Ruby asked, "What do you want from me? You don't even know." James confessed, "Ruby, I love you." Ruby walked up and kissed James. They were overwhelmed with passion and went into the room. Then, Ruby remembered James telling her, "I can't be with a girl like you." Ruby asked, "Why did you say that?" James explained, "My father saw a change in me because of you, and he threatened that if I didn't stay away from you, he would ruin your life, and I couldn't do anything against him." Ruby said, "I'm not afraid of your father." James insisted, "He's very dangerous." Ruby declared, "From today onwards, you won't lie to me." James agreed, "I won't." They kissed and embraced. Ruby said, "James, everything will change starting tomorrow. You should live your life according to your heart." James was confused. Ruby suggested they should make a list. They talked and went out for a walk, enjoying themselves thoroughly. They kissed and had a wonderful time. Ruby finished her last interview exactly as she wanted. James was still confused about studying at Oxford, but decided not to attend. He left feeling happy. Lydia sent a text message to Sutton that she was pregnant and was terrified. James kissed Ruby and sent her home. Ruby arrived home, where Elena had fixed the Victorian dress Ruby made and earned money, using it to buy a lift for the house. Ruby went upstairs happily and found her whole family happy. She joined them. James and Lydia were happy, and Percy was happy to see them. They arrived home and found Mortimer there. He told them, "Your mother, Cordelia, had a heart attack and died." Both children were devastated. Mortimer then received a call from the company manager and immediately started discussing a company deal, showing no grief or love for Cordelia. James was enraged. He grabbed Mortimer and started hitting him until Percy intervened. James yelled, "Percy, you must have known about this too." James then left, filled with sorrow. He saw Ruby's house from outside. Ruby's whole family was happy together, and James did not want to make them unhappy. Ruby looked out the window, but James had already left. And with that, this excellent series ended, hinting at a season 2. And that's where Maxton Hall's season 1 recap ends, the story that started it all. Season 2 of Maxton Hall just came out a day ago, and if you'd like me to upload the Maxton Hall Season 2 recap next, let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next Maxton Hall recap when it drops. This is Go Recap.